Have you ever wondered why you put off tasks that you know are important? Let's take a moment to consider procrastination, a common yet puzzling behavior that most of us have grappled with at some point in our lives. It's that nagging tendency to delay tasks, even when we're fully aware of the potential negative consequences. So, why do we do it? Why do we procrastinate? The answer isn't as simple as you might think. Procrastination isn't just a matter of being lazy or having poor time management skills. It's a complex issue that often has more to do with our emotions than our work ethic. In a nutshell, procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing tasks or actions. It's the gap between intention and action. You know what you need to do, and you intend to do it, but somehow you just don't get around to it. Sound familiar? The reason we often fall into the procrastination trap is because we're trying to avoid the discomfort or stress associated with the task at hand. It's not that we don't want to do the task or that we don't understand its importance, but rather, we're avoiding the negative feelings we associate with it. This could be anything from fear of failure or success, to perfectionism, to a lack of self-confidence. So when we procrastinate, we're not just being lazy or irresponsible. We're actually engaging in a complex psychological battle with our own emotions. It's a coping mechanism, albeit an unproductive one, that we use to deal with uncomfortable feelings or challenging tasks. But here's the kicker. The more we procrastinate, the more those negative feelings intensify. It becomes a vicious cycle that can be difficult to break free from. And that's why understanding the emotional aspects of procrastination is the first step towards overcoming it. So it's clear that procrastination is more complex than it appears at first glance. Understanding this enigma is the key to unlocking a more productive, less stressful life. But what exactly happens in our brain when we procrastinate? Picture this, a boxing match, but instead of burly men in a ring, it's happening inside your head. On one side, we have the prefrontal cortex, the region of our brain responsible for executive functions such as decision-making, planning, and self-control. This is the part of your brain that says, let's get to work on that project due next week. On the other side, we have the limbic system, the emotional and instinctual part of your brain. This is the part that says, but that new episode of your favorite show just dropped, and wouldn't it be nice to watch it right now? So what happens when these two heavyweights clash? Well, the limbic system has a home field advantage. It's one of the oldest parts of the brain in terms of evolution, and it operates on a more subconscious level. This means it can often override the newer, more rational prefrontal cortex, especially when it comes to immediate pleasure versus future rewards. You see, our brains are wired to prioritize immediate satisfaction over long-term benefits. This is a survival mechanism dating back to our ancestors who had to seize opportunities and rewards when they came because the future was uncertain.
Boca Smoothie Greens is a blend of organic grasses, superfoods, B vitamins, and botanical extracts designed to fuel the body with broad-spectrum nutrients for optimal mental and physical functionality. This whole food blend empowers the body through fruits and vegetables, organic grasses, adaptogens, immune-boosting herbs, plant extracts, and enzymes. With Boca Smoothie Greens, you can quickly supercharge what the best nature has to offer.
But in the modern world, where success often requires planning, self-control, and delayed gratification, this instinct can work against us. Hence the birth of procrastination, a conflict between what we want to do and what we should do. Understanding this internal struggle is the first step to managing procrastination. By acknowledging that your brain is hardwired to seek immediate pleasure, you can start to develop strategies to help your prefrontal cortex win the battle more often. This might involve breaking tasks into smaller, more manageable parts, or finding ways to make the task more enjoyable. So the next time you find yourself putting off a task in favor of something more immediately gratifying, remember, it's not just laziness. It's a battle between two parts of your brain. As it turns out, the brain is a battleground when it comes to procrastination. Now, there are several misconceptions about procrastination. Are you ready to debunk some myths? First off, the popular belief that procrastinators are just lazy. This couldn't be further from the truth. Procrastination isn't about laziness, it's about emotional regulation. It's a way to cope with challenging emotions and negative moods induced by certain tasks. Boredom, anxiety, insecurity, frustration, resentment, self-doubt, and beyond. It's not that procrastinators don't want to do the work, they just don't want to feel those unpleasant feelings. Next up is the myth that procrastination fuels creativity. Many of us have heard the romantic notion of the artist waiting for inspiration to strike at the last minute. However, science doesn't back this up. In fact, research indicates that procrastination is more likely to stifle creativity. When we're under the gun, our stress levels increase, and our minds tend to fall back on tried and true paths rather than exploring new, potentially more creative ones. Finally, let's bust the myth that procrastination is a habit that can't be changed. This is a dangerous misconception because it perpetuates the cycle of procrastination. The truth is, like any habit, procrastination can be broken. It takes understanding, self-compassion, and targeted strategies, but change is definitely possible. Neuroscience tells us that our brains are remarkably adaptable. Through a process called neuroplasticity, we can create new neural pathways and reshape existing ones. In simple terms, we can rewire our brains to overcome procrastination. These misconceptions about procrastination are not just wrong, they're harmful. They perpetuate misunderstanding, create self-blame, and prevent us from taking effective action to manage procrastination. It's time we put these myths to rest. Busting these myths is the first step towards a better understanding of procrastination. What if I told you that procrastination might have a surprising benefit? Now, before you start celebrating and putting off all your tasks, let's delve a bit deeper into this concept. It's a common belief that procrastination is the enemy of productivity, a roadblock on the path to success. But is that the full story? Consider this. Sometimes when we put off making a decision or completing a task, we're actually allowing ourselves more time to gather information, to mull over the options, to weigh the pros and cons. This extra time might lead us to a better, more informed decision, or a more creative solution that we wouldn't have arrived at if we had rushed to complete the task. This phenomenon is known as proactive procrastination. Of course, this doesn't mean that we should start procrastinating on purpose. Proactive procrastination is more of an incidental benefit rather than a strategy to be employed. More often than not, procrastination leads to stress, decreased productivity, and missed opportunities. It's a double-edged sword, and it's important to recognize when the blade is pointed towards us. Moreover, it's crucial to understand that the key here is not the procrastination itself, but the extra time for contemplation it might provide. If we can train ourselves to take that time for thoughtful consideration without resorting to procrastination, we can reap the benefits without the accompanying drawbacks. So next time you find yourself procrastinating, don't beat yourself up. Instead, use that time wisely. Reflect on the task at hand, gather more information, consider all the options. You might just find that you come up with a better solution than you would have if you had rushed. But remember, this is not an excuse to procrastinate. It's a reminder that every cloud has a silver lining, and even our negative habits can sometimes lead to positive outcomes. It's about finding the balance, recognizing when to act swiftly, and when to take a step back and think. So procrastination isn't all bad, but it's certainly not all good either. Finally, how can we overcome this tendency to procrastinate? Indeed, this is the question on many minds. Well, fear not, as we're about to delve into some practical strategies that can help you break free from the shackles of procrastination. Firstly, consider breaking your tasks down into smaller, more manageable parts. This helps to reduce the overwhelming feeling that often accompanies larger tasks. When a task seems daunting, it's easy to put it off. But by dividing it into little chunks, you can tackle each part one at a time, making the whole thing seem less intimidating. Next, let's talk about the 2-minute rule. This rule suggests that if a task will take 2 minutes or less to complete, do it immediately. This not only helps you to get smaller tasks out of the way quickly, but it also builds momentum, making it easier to start on larger tasks. Now, on to mindfulness. This isn't just a buzzword, it's a powerful tool in overcoming procrastination. By being fully present and engaged in the task at hand, you can avoid getting distracted by thoughts of other tasks or feelings of overwhelm. It's about focusing on the here and now, and not letting your mind wander to the what-ifs and maybes that often lead to procrastination. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, is the concept of self-compassion. Overcoming procrastination isn't about beating yourself up every time you slip up. It's about understanding that everyone procrastinates sometimes, and that it's okay. Instead of berating yourself for procrastinating, show yourself some kindness. Recognize that you're human, and that it's okay to struggle sometimes. This can help to reduce the guilt and negative feelings that often fuel procrastination. Remember, overcoming procrastination is a journey, not a destination. But with understanding and effort, you can certainly make progress. So go forth, armed with these strategies, and take control of your time and productivity. You've got this.
Often called the mushroom of the gods, lion's mane has a long history of medicinal use. This popular nootropic has been shown to enhance focus and increase cognition, helping you feel more productive and accomplished. Research studies have also shown that lion's mane is neuroprotective, giving you peace of mind as you power through your day. Try lion's mane and experience the mental clarity and productivity boost you've been missing.